going to talk about how AI can work on an enterprise level, and that's what we're here to talk about. So I have Karen Hanlon here from Highmark Health. We have Satyan from UPS and DePaul down from Dun and Bradstreet. And Bradstreet. I want to start off by talking about first kind of setting the table for our audience here. Briefly describe, before we dig deep into data and all that, about what your company does, first of all, and then talk about what type of AI you're using and how you find that most beneficial. Karen, so I'll start with you.
Yeah, happy to start.
Sure.
So Highmark Health is a healthcare company. We own the Blue Cross Blue Shield businesses that operate in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Delaware, parts of New York. We also own a couple of provider systems. So we run an integrated model between payer and provider in a couple of markets in Western Pennsylvania with the ownership of a number of hospitals and about 2,000 doctors. In Central Pennsylvania in partnership with Penn State University with the Penn State Health System. And then we have a variety of diversified businesses as well, a dental insurance company, a stop-loss insurance company, a healthcare technology company. And so we are using AI in a lot of different ways and have been for years. You know, Gen AI, of course, is a new advent in all of this, but we've been using AI in a variety of ways for a number of years, whether it be to modernize and change business process or to enhance the customer experience or change what we're able to do to add to the customer experience, or to improve the delivery of care. And sometimes that can be just more proactive outreach regarding things like screening or optimizing the scheduling of appointments. Other times that can actually be, you know, bringing better healthcare solutions to the table in terms of diabetes solutions, those sorts of things. So it's been a part of our tool set for a long time.
And what kind of benefits have you found from it?
Yeah, I mean, as said earlier, I think there's a lot of business process optimization that you can do with that, right? To make your people more efficient, to take some of the more mundane work out of the portfolio. The improvements to the customer experience can be drastic. When you think about something like scheduling appointments, oncology infusion, right? Making sure that we have the exact right slot for the right person, given the service that they need, that the staffing is aligned with that appointment scheduling so that people don't have to wait. You know, that's a simple example, but one that makes a huge difference to somebody when they're in that moment. Yeah, so there's been a wide array of opportunities for us in healthcare, for sure.
And more to come.
Yeah, for sure.
Satyan, explain for UPS.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
First of all, thank you, Bloomberg, and thank you, Lisa, for inviting us. I'm Satyan, and I work for UPS. UPS, the #1 logistics company. We carry and deliver close to 21 million packages every single day across 220 countries. And I was just counting the previous panelists, how many times they were talking about this could be a supply chain game changer. We are that supply chain game changer. Okay? And let me talk about what we do. Many of you know that we have been founded in 1907. And from 1907 hitherto, so much have changed, whether it is technology or whether it is customer experience or customer expectations or geopolitical things. We are still here. We are very profitable. And it is part of our business strategy, not a technology strategy, business strategy that innovation, use of technology, and more importantly, adapting to customer needs is the cornerstone. So on every single day, we always look to see how technology can be used to provide best-in-class service. It's no secret. Our industry is labor-intensive, and labor is the most precious resource you can deploy to deliver service. So all our efforts have been focused on how do we use technology to use the most precious resource to deliver results and be profitable, whether it is AI or automation or robotics, or you call it, whether it is a new form of paper. we are always in it. How do we normally use it? Of course, the classical use cases are customer experience, content creation, and of course, 220 countries when you operate, lots and lots of legislations and regulatory compliance stuff will come. Have you seen them? One of them will be like 300 pages. And you will need an extraordinarily capable translator to understand what it is. We are in that business. So we use such technology to summarize. I'm just giving this most simple use case. From there, all the way to the extreme use case of operational research. When you are moving 21 million packages every single day outside the door, when you have 40 million packages in the network, when some 20 million coming in, 2,000 nodes across 220 countries, it's the management of the network is a complex problem. We use artificial intelligence and machine learning there. So I can keep going on, but I will pass it back to you, Lisa. We'll talk more about how exactly we are going to use. One last thing I can say is we actually have a couple of, not AI, Gen AI solutions in production, live and running right now.
Oh, good. I'd like to dig into that a little bit deeper in a minute. Jay, let's talk about Dun & Bradstreet. Explain to everyone what it is.
Sure. So Dun & Bradstreet is a global leading data provider. We provide insights and intelligence to our customers, driving decisions around business credit, third-party risk, supply chain risk, like,
Number 4.
Supply chain. And that data is obviously crucial for businesses to make decisions, risk-based decisions as they go forward. We've been around for now 182 years, 1841. Since we're all throwing years out. We had 4 presidents work at the company as credit reporters, most notably Abe Lincoln. So that's a little bit of our history. As far as our Gen AI and LLMs, I think similar to these two, we are leveraging them already and have been for years. As was mentioned in an earlier panel, it's just becoming mainstream. ChatGPT did a world of wonders for a lot of people, but the reality is it's been around and we've been leveraging those insights from LLMs and machine learning and other forms of AI through being able to process the large amounts of data that we have and come to effective decision making and putting the right insights into the right hands to drive those business decisions.
Excellent. Now, with new technology comes, of course, challenges, risks, things like that, but we learn from them, right? So we want to kind of show the audience and teach them what you have learned from different challenges or risks that you've seen. So what have you seen, Karen?
Well, I mean, we talked earlier about, just the risk of data loss. And I think, for us in healthcare, that's a huge item. We carry some of the data that people, value and want protected at the highest level. And we take that very seriously. So we've put a lot of time into thinking about how we're treating the data, what data we're using, where it is, and taking proper precautions. Moving, very intently around the way that we're proceeding. Google Cloud's been a great partner with us on that journey as we started the movement to the cloud and have been, beginning to use some of the tools and the models available to us. So that's been one that's very high on the list. I think the pace at which you move, given some of the other risks, I think is an important consideration. And as in many industries, there are so many potential use cases that I think what you choose to work on first, how you sequence things, the amount of work that you decide to undertake at any given point in time can be a risk if you're not very thoughtful about it. And think about how you're going to use it and match it up with the talent that you have internally. But the number one probably is the data.
Okay.
Yep.
And Satyan, what kind of examples do you have, let's say at UPS, any challenges that you've seen that you've been able to overcome? What have you learned?
She already covered data loss, and a lot of folks will talk about inappropriate use of data and all. I'm not going to go in there. I will go in a different direction. The most important aspect of our challenge is not to undermine the humans, because artificial intelligence, we do not compare that to the intelligence of humans. We do not mind, we just want to make sure that it is a companion, it's a guru, It's a knowledgeable friend that's going to help us to do better. I consider that as a exoskeleton. So that like when you wear the exoskeleton, maybe you can lift like a 500-pound packages, or like you can punch harder. When you are introducing a technology, it's a very easy to get carried away by the euphoria or like the initial anxiety that, oh, this is going to do that. So we are very, very careful about what it can actually do, and is it going to do the right way, and is it going to do consistently, and finally, is it going to do in the most ethical way to adhere to the compliance. So that's our challenge, because when you go and do a search, you will be given advice by thousands and thousands of self-proclaimed gurus on how you can use it. Our challenge is to make sure that we do the right thing for the customers and for the employees and play by the rules.
Excellent. Now let's get into protecting this data. I mean, Jay, this is your realm. You said something interesting when you spoke. You said we don't need to reinvent security. So kind of dig deeper in that.
Yeah, I think with the evolution of any new technology, everybody jumps to the need to kind of revolutionize things. And while this does revolutionize what we all do, because all of our businesses are driven by technology, foundational elements of security and privacy should already be in place to help you defend these in a good manner, in a strong manner. There are some novel threats that get introduced with LLMs and with Gen AI that you have to account for in your application development lifecycle, in your data protection lifecycle, in your identity and access management lifecycle. But I think it's just, you have to be very careful that you don't need to start over or start from scratch. You just have to slightly adapt or adopt what you've got in place to be able to defend those.
And what about privacy protection too? I mean, you have a lot of clients and customers who have personal information. What about privacy protection?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I put that in the same category as data loss, right? It's just you have to be really thoughtful about what data you are using, how you're using it, where you're making it available, and it's priority number one for us, honestly. And so the use cases that we select, especially as we move into this realm of Gen AI, we're going through a more deliberate process than they ever have before. And that's one of the things that we're looking at and considering, so that we're just very thoughtful about making sure that we select the right use cases and handle them properly.
Excellent. Now, for advice for people out there, Jay, you had mentioned something interesting too, starting with that good foundation. I mean, some advice for people who are here who just want to start dipping their toe in the water.
Yeah, I think, and it's back to the risk that you called out. What are some of the key risks? Moving too quickly without having the right foundation in place. I mean, everybody wants to start deploying LLMs and get the business value out of it, and of course that will come in time. But starting with a strong foundation and a good set of principles, this concept of responsible AI, making sure you've got the right policy, making sure that you've got a governance structure in place, build an AI operating committee that is validating and reviewing each and every one of your use cases to make sure that they're meaningful for your business, that they're a risk you're willing to take, because as with any technology, there's bad risk and there's also operational risk that you're going to assume as well. So really having that strong foundation and monitor. Once you put them in place, make sure they're effective, make sure that they are not biased, make sure that they are trustworthy, and that the data being produced from them is as expected and as anticipated for the use cases.
And Satyan, you had mentioned something when we spoke. You said using the right technology for the right problem. That's very important. So give a little bit more advice, and maybe if you have any examples at UPS.
Absolutely. Gen AI is not the answer for all the problems. I'll just start with that. I've been approached with, hey, can you create a time series forecasting model using Gen AI? My answer would be, no, you should not, because Gen AI is a technology that is very good at looking at the textual data and kind of anticipating and predicting what's the next sequence of that. So when you are looking for what's going to be my next quarter product segment numbers, you use a different tool. However, the confluence of you have your time series model along with a human interacting with it directly, change that to put Gen AI that can actually interact with that and provide insights in a way so that you can act on it will be the way to go. So it's not like, oh, I asked this question, which car is better? ChatGPT gave me an answer. Yeah, it may work well. But in the world of business, the right tool for the right job is extremely important. So I just gave an example on forecasting. Let me go to the other side. We have tools that can help developers to write code. We are not going there yet, because if you are a large corporation, you need to know where the code came from. Mm-hmm. You really do not know, because many of those things are not indemnified. However, if you are really interested in using such technology, you are better off using this technology to help to debug the code, because some parts of Gen AI are very good at detecting the memory leak in a software that plagues the people, and they spend a lot of time. So identify and be precise about what problem you are going to solve. Then go look for how to use it. In some cases, I always tell, hey, Gen AI Auto GPT is nothing but your robotic process automation on steroids. However, if you take like 10 steps back, that's what it is. You take textual content, you apply technology, it can give you the sentiment, it will tell you what somebody is doing, and then to his point, your organization should have the data available in a way that you can consume. I'll give a very practical example. You go to ups.com, type in the 1Z tracking number. Where is my package? Or you can send an email, where is my package? Mm-hmm. To answer that question, you take it. However, if you do not have your enterprise data managed in a proper way, that you take the tracking number and call a couple of APIs, get the data, which is not going to be in textual form, convert into text and all those things, you will not be able to answer it. So to use Gen AI, you should look at what problem are we solving? Do we have the right foundation? Is it available? And then how am I reimagining the process? You just can never drop Gen AI to be successful.
Wow. Yeah, Karen, what questions should people be asking? What questions did you ask when you started getting into it?
Yeah, well, I think a couple of things. First of all, to the point of what should I do first, I think the comment to go get yourself good talent is critical and key, right? Because especially in the C-suite, there's no way that you're going to have the right skill set to do this all well. So go get yourself the right talent. Make sure that your data is clean and your data governance is solid and all of those things. And then what should you do? You should align the work that you want to do with the goals and the objectives that you have. Select the best use cases to have impact, yet try some new things, right? Find the right mix for you, given your risk tolerance and how you want to focus. We focused a lot early on the business process modernization element of things. Sad but true, in healthcare, faxing is still a thing. Believe it or not, doctors' offices still fax things to insurance companies. And so part of our work, and this had nothing to do with Gen AI, to your point on, know what you're really using it for, but part of our work was just automating that whole process so we could get out of the business of faxing and then using that automation to actually eliminate a lot of the work, right? Because the technology could do what we needed it to do, and we could apply normal AI to call out the anomalies, to call out the things that we really needed to point out to our people to go do work on, right? And oh, by the way, in the process of that, the individuals that were doing that work now have a more satisfying employee experience as well. They're not picking up faxes off of fax machines and having to do data entry. They are being directed to the specific cases that they should take a look at, right, and invest their time in. So align your use cases properly, find the ones where you can have impact early on, and grow the portfolio from there.
And excellent. Now let's get into the future of this. I mean, Jay, I'll start with you. Where do you see this technology headed? What are you excited about? What concerns you?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, I think it has clearly has the promise to revolutionize all of the things that we do today. Not only our products and our capabilities, but our workers and their knowledge workers and those that are doing a lot of laborious type tasks today. We're going to start to see as we adopt these technologies, and we need to adopt these technologies. We just need to do it responsibly. We're going to see that it changes for them. We're going to see that it's not the robots coming to replace us type of scenario, but it is certainly you can do much more with one person, in the future than you can perhaps with 5 or 10 today. So it's just taking advantage of that, scaling that, putting our workers, focusing on things that are more important, more valuable to us. And I do think the data protection piece, I don't want to skip over that. What we need to think about, and I know you didn't ask this, but just from that, what advice would you give? The data going into these models is equally important, if not more important, than the data coming out. Know your data, find your data, tag your data, because at the end of the day, you've got data sprawl everywhere. There is no boundary anymore with cloud and data centers and phones and people's endpoints and devices. You got to know where that data sits, and you got to make sure that you're able to identify, tag it, label it, and don't put it in a model, because once it's in a model, it's not coming out, right? Once the model learns on that data, it's history, and that goes for privacy data and the right to be forgotten. You got to think hard about some of these things when you're making some of these decisions.
Excellent point. And Karen, we were talking, you talked about the future, talking about virtual reality, which blew my mind, things that you were seeing in the health world.
Yeah. We've been using a technology advisory group that is a set of advisors from outside of our company. Some are in healthcare, but not all intentionally. Some are from other industries. And we meet with them about every other month. We have our data and analytics and technology folks at the table. We use that technology advisory group not to have any discussions about our current technology, but to talk solely about what they see coming out in the next 3 to 5 years and how they believe those technologies could translate in healthcare. And virtual reality right now is a big topic that arises through that technology advisory group. So, I think certainly on Gen AI, we have, the world is in front of us. I do believe this will be a real tool for the transformation of healthcare, and there is a ton of work to be had in that arena. We're very much following the human in the loop concept right now, right, to make sure that we have the right guardrails. But I think it can drive huge benefits in the healthcare arena. But yet, what's next? And so right now, virtual reality is the discussion. It's a little bit mind-blowing at times to think about and talk about, but we're beginning to at least have dialogue with that advisory group about what that could look like.
Excellent. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Thank you. I really appreciate all of your insight. Karen, Satyan, Jay, thank you very much.
Thank you.